Hello, myself Sunil R Nair. Here, basically, we are discussing about one topic, that is currencies. And in currencies, basically, we are talking about one topic, that is ideas. In ideas, basically, we are talking about one topic, that is global warming. In global warming, basically, we are talking about one topic, that is cities creation. Basically, one of the person told that basically, if we create the city, basically, instead of entire planet creation as a solution, then how would be that? Basically, lots of people say that currently the entire creation is like this only. Basically, for example, corona disease came, then corona medicine, basically. So corona medicine, basically, for corona medicine, basically, we created around the earth planet, basically created around as in that 15 kilometer city, basically, just taking as an example. In real, basically, it might be 150 also. So here, basically, we are just taking as an not too much, basically 15 kilometer, basically, that contains everything, basically. So he told that basically 15 kilometers, basically, area, basically, city has created, and that is going to that is going to contain each and everything, basically: corona energy, corona disease, corona malaria, corona heart disease, corona heart disease medicine, corona eye disease medicine, corona head disease medicine, corona stomach cancer, corona head cancer means eye cancer, everything basically came. Then basically corona stomach cancer, corona hand problem, then corona leg problem, corona head basically contains teeth, eye, basically ear, everything basically contains. Head also basically contains. Like this, basically the corona, entire corona medicine, basically you can say. You can say basically one tablet also, basically you can say, that contains everything, basically. Or basically you can say one injection, basically, which contains every entire city as a medicine, basically. So like this, basically, if one entire city basically is getting used as a medicine, basically, then you can imagine the price also, basically. So like this, basically, the slow medicines are basically there and fast medicines are there, basically. Slow medicine basically cost according to, and fast medicine basically cost according to. So lots of things basically are there, basically, which basically is created, basically. And few people says that basically we have created corona medicine, and that medicine basically, few people says like this also, basically, before creating the city, basically, they draw diagram in the energy format, basically in little bit nano format, that is corona city, basically. In corona city, basically, they designs the first way, they designs in paper, basically, then they designs in the energy, basically, that this all basically corona disease comes, each and every body parts basically comes into the picture, basically. So like this, basically, the corona energy comes, basically, corona medicine energy, and exactly the opposite is corona disease, basically, that basically each and every body parts basically gets damaged: heart, eye, head, ear, eye, hand, leg, private parts, back part, then stomach part, each and everything basically gets damaged, basically. That is corona disease, basically. So corona disease basically damage each and every body parts, and like this, basically, and in simple language, basically, each and every each and every disease mostly basically damage each and every body parts, basically. If I say this also, then also it would be 100% correct. But the blood cells basically is created up to that level, basically, that it doesn't spreads to entire body parts, basically, entire body parts blood cells, basically. So like that, basically, thing, or this connects to like this, basically, each and every states basically have border. So with the, before crossing the border, basically, lots of rules and regulation basically are there, that basically you have to follow. If you are crossing the country, basically, then more rules and regulation basically are there. So like this, lots of things basically are there, basically. It's not like that, basically, that everything happens automatically. Everything happens automatically. It's not like that basically. It's not like that basically, that everything happens automatically. So Corona city equal to Corona planet. If I say this, then it would be 100% correct. So in future basically, after creating the city basically, by generating the data with the 900 crore people basically, the Corona planet is going to create basically. Before that basically, Corona fruits, Corona vegetable, Corona wheat, Corona oil, Corona petrol, Corona vehicles, Corona iron, Corona plastic, Corona steel, Corona tamba, Corona medicine, Corona trees, Corona temples. Corona temples also basically will get update basically. Then basically it might possible that few new god also basically will get into the picture. Like basically Corona basically have basically one honor. So on the name of his name basically the god basically is going to create. Like this Corona planet, sorry, the Corona tectonic plates will update. Corona energy will get update. The Microsoft will add a few Corona data also basically. So they need basically the energy of the Corona. For that basically they takes energy of the Corona honor also basically. Like this lots of thing basically gets update basically. Like this basically lots of thing, and in this basically lots of earthquakes also happen basically. In this basically lots of earthquakes also happen. In this basically lots of earthquakes also happen. So in this basically lots of earthquakes also happen basically while correcting the data basically. Lots of people says that in mountain area basically why earthquake basically does not happen basically. For example, in Pune, in Mumbai, in Bangalore, in Noida, in Vadodara city, in Valsad. These all are basically these all are basically the mountain city, right? So there basically earthquake does not happen basically. What is the reason basically? Then they basically the reason basically mostly basically are mountains basically are connected with the set of energy basically, which are basically directly connected with the satellites basically. Otherwise mountain will basically change his position basically. Otherwise mountain will change his position basically. Then one of the person told that, are you sure basically mountain can change the position? 100% basically mountain change the position basically. But if the satellite basically is taking the control basically, then only basically mountain face the change the position basically. Mountains change the position basically. Then only basically. Then if satellites basically takes, so one person told that, yeah, how much powerful the satellites basically are here basically. Then one of the person told that basically the each and every earth planet basically, each and every earth planet basically, each and every earth planet basically is stable basically. That is the reason basically is just only one, that is satellites basically. Otherwise basically the whole world will basically just change their position. The buildings will move here, the buildings will move there, but that basically is not possible. Building will not move basically, it will basically just fall only basically. So buildings basically never move basically. But that basically depends upon the land basically. If land is very like that basically, then basically buildings also basically get smooth basically. That basically very rare happens basically. That basically never happened in the, that basically happens when the tsunami comes, and at the same time of tsunami basically earthquakes come. That time basically live picture basically, if we see that time basically the buildings are moving literally, that you will see basically, that you will see that buildings are basically moving, that you will literally see basically. But in video basically you can't, you have to see the live data basically. How basically that you can see basically that, but video basically if you see, then basically you can't see the real picture basically. Because there are lots of limitation of cameras also basically, that's why. Because if camera basically captures the position,